what's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 5 4 key game picks. Now, before we talk about week number 5, of course, as I always do in my video, quick recap of what happened the last week, which was week number 4, my thoughts on week number 4, and there's a lot to talk about. I'm not going to go through everything. I wrote down what I felt were the main points of week number 4. Obviously, there's only 3 NFL teams left. The Patriots, the Chiefs, and the 49ers. Well, the 49ers are still undefeated because they had a bye week last week, but they still count. And the 49ers do play this week after they're coming off a bye. They're the only 3 teams left in the NFL that are still undefeated. Everybody else pretty much has suffered at least one loss. And speaking of one of those losses, give the Philadelphia Eagles a ton of credit last week, and they did a great job on Aaron Rodgers and stopping their offense here. Aaron Rodgers really thought they had that game in hand, and in all honesty, they should have tied the game, possibly even won that game. But obviously, some bad playmaking, or whoever decided that Rodgers would pass at the end, was really that resulted in an interception, and the Eagles ended up winning that game. So yeah, I mean, I'm starting to wonder now, did the Philadelphia Eagles expose the Packers defense, which, in all honesty, the running game really hurt the Packers defense a lot. So there might be an Achilles heel for that Packers defense. But speaking of Achilles heel, and you got to wonder about the Patriots' own defense here. They really let Frank Gore run amok in that game. And look, even though the Patriots still won that game, but the Buffalo Bills defense did a great job of holding as much as Tom Brady at bay as they possibly could. Patriots really lucked out on a lot of key things in terms of like a punt block that was returned for a touchdown, and they knocked out Josh Allen in that game. And I don't blame a lot of the Bills coach right now. He got really upset that they did that number on Josh Allen, and I agree. That really was a bad hit that they put on him. But then again, Josh Allen also threw 2 big interceptions that really did not set up a lot of the running game a lot more, which they should have, because Frank Gore was unstoppable against that Pats defense. And speaking of hits, Vontae Burfict of the Raiders, who hit a defenseless Indianapolis Colts player, is suspended for the remainder of the rest of the season. And I thought what was really disturbing was that when they ejected him from the game, he just ran out into under the tunnel smiling. And I thought, oh man, that is disturbing. And I gotta wonder now if Vontae Burfict is gonna ever play in the NFL again after that hit. And I really think he shouldn't. That to me is just, it was just seriously uncalled for and not necessary in football. That kind of thing is not necessary in football because he could have killed that guy. So who knows what his fate will be the rest of the way. And I don't know how John Gruden and the Raiders are actually defending him on this. I personally think they have no justification or defense on this. That really should not be the case there. I mean, that guy's a dirty, dirty NFL player. And I agree with a lot of analysts and other pundits that he should not play in the NFL ever again. Biggest surprise of week number 4 was that the Buccaneers beat the Rams. It was a high-scoring game, but really, did the Buccaneers expose the Rams' big-time weaknesses in both sides of the ball? Give the Buccaneers a ton of credit. They played the Rams very well. They jumped out to an early lead in that game, and they never looked back. How about Minshew heading a comeback for the Jaguars? Could we have a quarterback controversy coming on our way once Nick Foles gets back? Because really, the Jaguars, man, they're starting to get on a groove here. So that's maybe one team you gotta watch out for. And of course, the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if I want to call this a statement win against the Ravens, because really, in the first 4 games of the regular season, I don't know what kind of Cleveland's Browns team we're getting. We're supposedly would be getting a good football team, and then one week they're playing like crap. I don't know, but I don't know. I can't really call this a statement win for them just yet, because they need to really not be on this win-lose pattern here. Anyways, my friends, I babbled long enough. Let's get on to week number 5. And let's begin with key game number 1, an NFC West rivalry showdown. It's the Thursday night game, the Rams and the Seahawks. Now the Seahawks are actually a point and a half, a 1.5 point favorite in this one, and I wouldn't surprise me if this goes down to 1 point, because I pretty much say the way the Rams are playing right now and the way the Seahawks are playing right now, I would say they're evenly matched. Now, here's some key stats from both of their quarterbacks. Now, Goff, 45 of 68, 517 yards of offense there, 2 touchdowns, but a key fact on this one here, 3 interceptions. He really played like his rookie year on that game against the Buccaneers. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if the Buccaneers exposed that offense. Now, Russell Wilson, and they played a hard-fought game against Arizona, even though I know a lot of people are saying, how can you say that was a hard-fought game? Seattle dominated. Yeah, but the game was close in the first half, but then Seattle just blew them out in the second half. Now, Russell Wilson went 22 of 28, 240 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. So this game is pretty big, I would have to say, for the Seahawks to stay in the hunt, to keep pace with the Rams here, because it's going to be really tough to say here who. I mean, both teams are even at 3-1. Somebody will get their second loss. This game really is a toss-up here, but I'm actually leaning towards the Rams here, because recently they've had some success in Seattle lately, and I think if the Rams really want to keep that sentiment and that statement that they're still the team to beat in the NFC, this is the game to do it against a divisional opponent. It's hard to win in Seattle for a lot of NFL teams, but I think the Rams are going to barely win this game. I think they win by a field goal. I think they win by a field goal. Is it going to be low scoring? I would say it would probably be like a 20-17 football game, probably. And I think it's going to be a good one. It should be a good game. I think it's going to be close. I don't see this game being a blowout at all. I think this game will be close all the way, and I'm actually going to pick the Rams here. I think the Rams will bounce back here. If they can I know they're on a short week here, but they know they should take a lesson from the Eagles. They're up against it right now, and they should use this as motivation for this game in Seattle, as Philly did with Green Bay. I'll pick the Rams, but I think this game really is a toss-up here, but I think the Rams will barely pull it out in Seattle. Rams over the Seahawks. Key game number 2, a big one in the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New Orleans Saints. Saints coming off a big win last week over the Cowboys in a very low-scoring 12-10 game. And, of course, the Buccaneers coming off a big upset win over the Rams. This game might determine who gets first place here. Now, right now, the Saints right now currently are kind of in good shape here, but if the Buccaneers were to win this game, they will be in a first-place tie with them. Now, Winston went 28 of 41, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception in a big win last week against the Rams. Bridgewater, 23 of 30, 193 yards, no touchdowns, but 1 interception. Saints are a 3.5 point favorite in this one, and that number actually could be lower. I could see it being 3 points, maybe 2.5. Because if Tampa Bay can reenact what they did with the Rams, the Saints could be in for trouble, because that Tampa Bay's defense has come alive for some odd reason that against the game against the Rams, even though they led a comeback against the Giants 2 weeks ago. Really tough to say here. This game is in New Orleans, and New Orleans is good at home, even without Drew Brees. I think it's going to be I actually think this will be a low-scoring game, because I think both defenses are evenly matched between each of these teams here. But in terms of offense here, I think it's also evenly matched. So this game is also a toss-up in my opinion. And who do I have winning this game? I'm leaning towards the New Orleans Saints here. I'm going to pick the Saints here. I think they'll win this game here, but it's going to be very close. Tampa Bay's got some good fight. They had a good fight with the Rams last week, and I think they will have another good fight with the Saints here, a divisional opponent here, especially with first place on the line here. But I think the Saints will come out the victor. They'll probably win 2 on a field goal. That will be my opinion. And it's also going to be a low-scoring game in this one. So I'm going to pick the Saints over the Buccaneers. Key game number 3, a big one in Dallas. The Green Bay Packers versus the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are a 3.5 point favorite in this one, and that number should be much lower. I would say that both the Packers and the Cowboys are evenly matched in this game. Now, Rodgers last week, 34 of 53, 422 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 1 interception, that key interception in the end of the game against the Eagles that cost them the game. They're going to be working with kind of a depleted offensive line, and their defense is kind of depleted too, even though they got 10 days off of rest. But they better be ready for that running game of Ezekiel Elliott. Now, getting into the Cowboys here, Prescott 22 of 33, 223 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception. Now, as I said, this game is pretty much evenly matched here. Tough to really say who comes out the victor in this game, because Dallas has the running game, even though they didn't utilize it that much last week, which they should have. Give the Saints credit; they stopped Ezekiel Elliott, forcing Prescott to forcing him to throw the ball, and that's what the Packer defense has got to do. Do what the Saints did. They got to force Prescott, stop the running game with Ezekiel Elliott. And that's why I'm actually leaning towards the Packers here. I think the Packers will beat the Cowboys here. The Saints may have exposed them. The Saints may have exposed the Cowboys here. In terms of that, really, their big key really is Ezekiel Elliott's got to get the running game going for Dallas if they're gonna run over that Green Bay Packer defense here. But no mistake about it, this game's a toss-up. But I'll pick the Packers here in a very close game, even though Dallas is a 3.5-point favorite in this one. But I like the Packers in this one in terms of their defense, and that's my pick. Packers over the Cowboys. And finally, key game number 4, talking about the Cleveland Browns one more time. Browns versus the 49ers. 49ers coming off a bye week last week. They are a 3.5-point favorite in this one. But I think that number should be 3 points to 2.5, because that is if the Browns can replicate what they did last week against the Ravens. Mayfield 20 of 30, 342 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Now, Garoppolo back in week 3 against the Steelers, 23 of 32, 277 yards, 1 touchdown, but 2 interceptions. Browns have a defense, and they really need that defense to put a stop to the 49ers offense here. 49ers have been fortunate to be undefeated right now, but I personally think the Browns defense is for real. They did a great job on Lamar Jackson and that offense here, and Jimmy Garoppolo and that offense better be ready for that defense, because really the Browns defense was the reason why the Browns won last week against the Ravens. Even though despite the 49ers being a 3.5-point favorite, I'm going to pick the Browns here. It's their defense. Their defense has got to make Garoppolo make some bad throws or put on a good pass rush here. But also for the fact that their offense on the Browns side, Mayfield really needs to continue to play falsely, and Chubb was another reason why the Browns won last week. Get Chubb going, and I like the Browns in this one here. Running game and the defense. Browns over the 49ers. All right, everybody, that wraps up my picks for week number 5. For all of my week 5 picks, even though last week it was pretty bad, I went 5 of 10 on all my picks last week. So hopefully I'll have a bounce back week here. We'll see. Anyways, check the description below for all of my week 5 picks, and I'll see you next week when I talk about my picks for week number 6. Take care and enjoy your football weekend.